Dr. Sarah Chen walked through the morning streets of New Eden City, watching the sun rise over humanity's greatest achievement. The golden light painted the crystal towers and green parks in warm colors. Children ran to school while their parents headed to work in the research labs and farming stations. 7 million people called this world home, and Sarah felt proud to be one of them. New Eden was perfect. The air was clean, the water pure, and the soil rich with life. Terraforming machines had worked for 50 years to make this alien world feel like Earth. Now families grew, gardens in their backyards, and birds sang in the trees that Earth had sent across the stars. Sarah reached the communication center where she worked as head scientist. Today was special. Earth was expecting their monthly report about life on Kepler 442b. She would tell them about the new baby born yesterday, the successful harvest, and the discovery of rare minerals in the northern mountains. Good news always made Earth happy. She sat at her desk and opened the communication link. The signal would take 60 years to reach Earth, traveling at the speed of light across the vast darkness between stars. By the time Earth received this message, the baby born yesterday would be an old woman. But the connection mattered. It kept hope alive. Earth Control, this is New Eden Colony. Sarah spoke into the microphone. Day 18-250 of colonial operations. Population stable at 7 million. Food production exceeds needs by 12%. Weather control systems operating normally. All citizens report good health and high morale. She paused to look out her window. A group of teenagers played football in the park below. Their laughter drifted up through the glass. These kids had never seen Earth. To them, this was home. This was the only world they knew. Personal note from Dr. Chen, she continued. My daughter Lisa started university today. She wants to study alien biology and explore the northern continents. The future looks bright here, Earth. We're building something beautiful for humanity among the stars. Sarah finished the report and sent it into space. She had no way of knowing it would be the last message Earth would ever receive from New Eden. The next morning started like any other. People went to work, children went to school, and life moved forward with peaceful routine. Sarah was in her lab when the first alarm sounded. It was soft and polite, the kind used for minor problems like weather warnings or equipment failures. Attention, citizens, the colony's computer voice announced. Unknown objects detected in outer system. Investigation in progress. Please continue normal activities. Sarah frowned. The only ships in their system were cargo vessels from Earth, and none were due for another 6 months. She opened her communication console and tried to contact the orbital stations. Station Alpha, this is New Eden Control. Please identify the unknown contacts. Static filled her speakers. Then a voice came through, tight with fear. New Eden, this is Alpha Station. We count 15. No, 20 large vessels. They're huge, Dr. Chen. Bigger than anything we've ever built. And they're not responding to our signals. Sarah's blood turned cold. In all their years on New Eden, they had never encountered alien life. The possibility excited scientists but terrified everyone else. What if these aliens were not friendly? Try all frequencies, Sarah ordered. Send them mathematical sequences, music, pictures. Something they might understand. Already tried, Doctor. They're ignoring us completely. Wait, they're changing course. They're heading straight for the planet. The colony's emergency sirens began to wail. People stopped what they were doing and looked up at the sky. Parents grabbed their children. Workers left their posts. The peaceful morning turned into chaos in minutes. Sarah ran to the colony's command center, where Governor Martinez was coordinating the response. The main screen showed 15 massive ships approaching their world. They looked like living things rather than machines with curved surfaces that pulsed with strange light. How long until they arrive? Martinez asked. 6 hours, the defense coordinator replied. Should we prepare the evacuation ships? To go where? Martinez shook his head. This is the only world we have. We can't run to another star system. Sarah watched the alien ships grow larger on the screen. They moved with purpose, like hunters approaching their prey. The colony had small defense weapons, enough to stop meteors or pirates. But these ships were huge. Their technology looked far beyond anything humans had built. Try to contact them again, Sarah suggested. Maybe they don't understand we're intelligent. Show them our cities, our art, our children. The communication officer sent everything they had. Pictures of human families, recordings of music, mathematical proofs, star maps showing Earth's location. The aliens ignored it all. They came closer with each passing hour. When the alien ships entered the atmosphere, the sky turned dark. Each vessel was kilometers long, casting shadows over entire cities. Strange sounds filled the air like singing mixed with screaming. The ships positioned themselves over major population centers. Sarah stood in the command center, watching death approach her world. She opened a communication channel to record everything that happened. If humans on Earth ever found this recording, they needed to know the truth. This is Dr. Sarah Chen, New Eden Colony, day 18,251. 15 unknown alien vessels have entered our atmosphere. They have not responded to any communication attempts. We estimate each ship to be over 3 kilometers in length. Their technology appears far superior to ours. The first weapons fired from the alien ships. Beams of green light struck the power stations and defense installations. The colony's shields lasted 30 seconds before collapsing. More beams targeted the schools, hospitals, and residential areas. "They're not trying to conquer us," Sarah whispered into her recorder. "They're trying to kill us all." The aliens released smaller ships that swarmed through the cities like angry insects. These smaller craft landed and opened, revealing the creatures inside. They stood 3 meters tall with forearms and skin like gray leather. They carried weapons that dissolved human flesh on contact. Sarah watched her beautiful world burn. The crystal towers melted. The parks turned to ash. The children's laughter was replaced by screams of terror and pain. In 1 hour, 7 million people began dying. "They're hunting us," Sarah spoke into her recorder as explosions shook the building. "Not fighting us. Hunting us, like we're animals to be slaughtered." Governor Martinez fell as the aliens broke into the command center. Sarah grabbed her recording device and ran for the emergency bunker. She sealed the heavy door behind her and continued documenting humanity's end. "If anyone finds this message, you need to know these aliens are not explorers or traders. They are killers. They came here to murder every human being on this world. They show no mercy, no hesitation, no regret." The bunker's walls began to glow from alien weapons. Sarah knew she had minutes left to live. She thought of her daughter Lisa, probably already dead in the university that was now a crater. She thought of Earth, so far away and helpless. "Tell Earth what happened here," she whispered to her recorder. "Tell them we died as humans, not slaves. Tell them to remember us. Tell them to make these monsters pay for what they did to us." The bunker door melted. Green light filled the small room. Sarah saw tall gray figures moving toward her, weapons raised. She closed her eyes and thought of home. The recording device fell silent. 7 million voices were stilled forever. New Eden burned for 3 days before the aliens left, satisfied with their work. Behind them, they left only death and ash where humanity had dared to dream among the stars. Admiral Marcus Reed stood in the communications center on Luna Station, watching the static fill his screens. 6 months had passed since New Eden's last scheduled report. 6 months of silence from humanity's greatest colony. "Still nothing, sir," Lieutenant Torres reported. "We've sent 12 messages. No response to any of them." Marcus rubbed his tired eyes. As commander of Earth's small defense fleet, he dealt with lost ships and communication failures regularly. But this felt different. New Eden never missed a report, never. "What about the automated beacons?" he asked. "Silent, sir. All of them went dark at the same time 6 months ago." Marcus felt a cold weight in his stomach. The beacons were designed to survive almost anything. If they were all silent, something terrible had happened to New Eden. "Prepare the investigation fleet," he ordered. "I want our fastest ships ready to travel to Kepler 442b immediately." "Sir, that's a 60-year journey each way. Even with our newest engines, it will take 20 years to get there. Then we better start now." The next morning, Marcus met with the World Council in Geneva. Representatives from every nation sat around the great table, their faces grim with worry. The loss of New Eden would be a disaster for all humanity. President Williams of the American Federation spoke first. "Admiral Reed, what are your theories about the colony's silence?" "3 possibilities," Marcus replied. "Equipment failure, natural disaster, or hostile contact." The room fell quiet at the last option. Everyone knew it was possible, but no one wanted to think about it. Humans had never encountered alien life, but the universe was vast and dangerous. "What do you recommend?" asked Premier Chen of the Asian Alliance. "Send our fastest ships to investigate. If the colony needs help, we provide it. If something destroyed them, we need to know what and why." The vote was unanimous. Earth would send its best ships and crews to discover New Eden's fate. Marcus chose his flagship, the UES Endeavour, to lead the mission. It was humanity's most advanced vessel, equipped with the latest engines and scientific equipment. The journey to Kepler 442b took 18 years with the new quantum drives. Marcus spent the time preparing for what they might find. His crew studied every message New Eden had ever sent, looking for clues about their fate. Captain Elena Vasquez served as his second-in-command. Her daughter had lived on New Eden, working as a teacher in the southern cities. Elena never spoke about her fears, but Marcus saw the pain in her eyes every day. "What if we're too late?" she asked him one night as they watched the stars. "Then we make sure their sacrifice means something," Marcus replied. When they finally arrived at Kepler 442b, the sight broke their hearts. The planet looked like a burnt stone hanging in space. The atmosphere was poisoned with radiation. The beautiful blue and green world New Eden had reported was gone, replaced by a dead gray sphere. "Take us into orbit," Marcus ordered. Full sensor sweep. The results were devastating. No life signs anywhere on the planet. The cities were ruins. The orbital stations were destroyed. 7 million people had simply vanished. "Sir?" the science officer called. "I'm detecting debris in orbit. It looks like weapons fire damage." Marcus studied the wreckage floating in space, twisted metal and burnt hull sections from New Eden's small defense fleet. They had fought, but they never had a chance. "Take us down to the surface," he decided. "We need to see what happened." The landing party wore full protection suits as they walked through the ruins of New Eden City. The crystal towers were melted slag. The parks were radioactive ash. Nothing lived here anymore. Elena found her daughter's school first. The building was gone, replaced by a crater 50 meters deep. She knelt at the edge and cried for the children who had died here. "Admiral," called Dr. Reyes from the science team, "I found something." They followed him to what had been the colony's command center. In the basement, a hardened data core had survived the destruction. It contained the final recordings from New Eden's last days. They gathered around a portable screen and watched Dr. Sarah Chen's final message. Her voice was calm even as death approached her world. She described the alien ships, their weapons, their methods of killing. The attackers showed no mercy, no interest in communication. They came only to destroy. "They hunted us like animals," Dr. Chen's recorded voice explained. This was not war. This was extermination. The recording showed glimpses of the alien attackers, tall gray beings with 4 arms and advanced weapons. Their ships were organic-looking, more like living creatures than machines. They killed efficiently and completely, leaving nothing alive. Marcus watched Elena's face as she learned how her daughter died. The pain in her eyes changed to something harder and colder. "Something dangerous. How many of them?" Elena asked quietly. "The recording shows 15 ships," Dr. Reyes replied. "Each one carried thousands of these creatures." "Not them," Elena said. "How many species did they kill before us?" Dr. Reyes reviewed the alien communications they had intercepted. The language was strange, but the computer could translate parts of it. What they learned made everyone sick. This was routine for them, Dr. Reyes reported. They called it pest control. The messages suggest they've done this many times before. Marcus felt anger building in his chest. These aliens had murdered 7 million innocent people and treated it like cleaning up insects. They had destroyed humanity's greatest achievement and felt nothing. "Do we know where they came from?" he asked. "The flight paths suggest an origin point about 40 light years from here, a star system called Zephyros by their communications." Marcus made a decision that would change humanity forever. "We're going home. Earth needs to know what happened here." The journey back to Earth took another 18 years. Marcus spent the time planning and thinking. By the time they arrived, he was no longer just a military officer. He was a man with a mission. The World Council listened in shocked silence as Marcus played Dr. Chen's final recording. They saw the evidence of alien technology and heard the translated communications proving this was genocide. "What do you recommend, Admiral?" President Williams asked. Marcus stood before the greatest leaders of humanity and spoke words that would echo through history. "We prepare for war. Not defense. Not negotiation, war. These aliens have committed genocide against our people. They have shown us what they think of humanity. Now we show them what we think of genocide." "But they're technologically superior," Premier Chen protested. "Their weapons, their ships were designed to fight primitives who couldn't fight back," Marcus replied. "They've never faced humans who know they're coming." Elena spoke for the first time since their return. My daughter died on New Eden. Her name was Maria Vasquez. She taught children how to read and dream of the stars. She never hurt anyone in her entire life. She paused and looked around the room at the most powerful people on Earth. I want these aliens to understand something. Humans remember. We remember every kindness and every cruelty. We remember our dead and we remember who killed them. Most importantly, we remember to collect our debts. The vote was unanimous. Earth would prepare for war against the aliens who had murdered New Eden. It would take decades to build the ships and weapons they needed. But humanity had learned patience along with anger. Marcus became Supreme Commander of the new Human Defense Force. Elena became his Chief Tactical Officer. Together, they began planning something the galaxy had never seen before. The complete destruction of an alien species. 7 million humans had died on New Eden. 7 million voices silenced by creatures who thought humans were just another primitive species to exterminate. Those aliens were about to learn they had made the greatest mistake in galactic history. They had awakened humanity's capacity for absolute vengeance. 25 years had passed since the discovery of New Eden's fate. Earth had transformed from a peaceful world of explorers into a fortress dedicated to one purpose: revenge. Captain Elena Vasquez walked through the massive shipyards orbiting Mars, watching humanity's answer to genocide take shape. Thousands of workers swarmed over the hull of the HFY Retribution, the flagship of Earth's new war fleet. The ship stretched 3 kilometers long, bristling with weapons that had never existed before New Eden's fall. Elena was no longer the grieving mother who had knelt at her daughter's grave. She was now Supreme Fleet Commander, chosen by Admiral Reed before his death 5 years ago. The pain of losing Maria still burned in her heart, but it had been forged into something useful. Something deadly. Status report, Director Kim, she said to the lead engineer. Hull completion at 98%, the Korean woman replied. Quantum torpedo arrays are online. Bioweapon systems are ready for testing. The ship will be ready for combat trials next month. Elena nodded and continued her inspection. The Retribution was beautiful in a terrible way. Every line and curve was designed for killing. Her weapons could crack planets. Her shields could survive direct hits from the same weapons that had destroyed New Eden. But the ship was just one of 10,000. Earth's entire economy had been restructured around building the largest war fleet in human history. Every nation contributed. Every corporation participated. Children grew up knowing they were part of humanity's great project of vengeance. Commander Vasquez, called Lieutenant Morrison as she approached the bridge. We've received word from the research division. They want to show you something important. Elena left the shipyard and traveled to the secret laboratory hidden in the asteroids beyond Jupiter. This was where humanity's greatest minds worked on projects that would have been unthinkable before New Eden. Projects that turned human creativity toward destruction. Dr. Sarah Kim, daughter of Director Kim, met Elena at the laboratory entrance. The young scientist had spent her entire adult life studying the alien technology recovered from New Eden's ruins. Commander, we've achieved a breakthrough, Dr. Kim announced as they walked through the sterile corridors. We've not only reverse-engineered their biotechnology, we've improved it. They entered a testing chamber where alien weapons floated in containment fields. The gray metal devices looked organic, like living tissue shaped into tools of war. Human scientists had spent decades learning how they worked. Show me, Elena ordered. Dr. Kim activated a control panel. A holographic alien appeared in the center of the room, created from the genetic samples found on New Eden. The creature stood 3 meters tall with 4 arms and gray leather skin, exactly like the beings in Dr. Chen's final recording. Fire, Dr. Kim commanded. A modified alien weapon discharged into the hologram. Instead of the green beam that had killed humans on New Eden, this weapon fired a blue pulse that made the alien image dissolve completely. We've altered their own bioweapons to target their specific genetic structure, Dr. Kim explained. One shot will kill any member of their species instantly, but it's completely harmless to humans. Elena smiled for the first time in months. How many of these weapons can you produce? We've already built 50 million. Every soldier in the fleet will carry one. Elena left the laboratory and returned to her command center on Luna Station. The walls were covered with star charts showing the route to Zephyros, the alien home system. Red lines marked their attack plan, developed over 2 decades of careful study. Admiral Torres, Elena's second-in-command, was waiting with the latest reports. Fleet status update, Commander. All 10,000 ships are operational. 2 million soldiers are ready for deployment. The bioweapon production lines are running at full capacity. What about intelligence on the enemy? Elena asked. Long-range probes confirm 15 worlds in the Zephyros system. Population estimated at 12 billion aliens. Their fleet appears unchanged since the New Eden attack. They seem to believe no retaliation is possible. Elena studied the tactical displays. The aliens had grown lazy in their dominance. They had never faced an enemy that could adapt and improve. They thought of other species as insects to be crushed when convenient. They're about to learn the difference between insects and humans, she said. The final preparations took another year. Elena personally inspected every ship and spoke with every unit commander. She wanted them to understand this was not a normal military operation. This was the complete elimination of a species that had committed genocide. Remember what they did to our people, she told the assembled officers. Remember New Eden. Remember that they called it pest control. Remember that they felt nothing when they murdered 7 million innocent humans. Captain Morrison raised his hand. Commander, what if they surrender? Elena's voice turned cold. They didn't accept our surrender. We won't accept theirs. The day of departure finally arrived. Elena stood on the bridge of the Retribution as 10,000 human warships prepared to jump to hyperspace. Each ship carried weapons designed specifically to kill aliens. Each crew member had trained for decades for this moment. Open a channel to the fleet, Elena ordered. Her image appeared on every ship's communication screen. 2 million human warriors looked at their commander and waited for her words. Today we travel to Zephyros, Elena began. Today we deliver justice for New Eden. The aliens who murdered our people think they are safe in their distant system. They think humans are too primitive to threaten them. They are wrong. She paused and thought of Maria, her daughter who had died teaching children to read. The little girl who would never grow up, never have children of her own, never see the stars she had dreamed about. We are not going to conquer them. We are not going to negotiate with them. We are going to do to them exactly what they did to us. We are going to erase them from existence. The fleet commanders responded with grim determination. Every human on these ships had lost someone on New Eden. Family, friends, fellow citizens who had died for the crime of being human. Jump to hyperspace, Elena commanded. The stars stretched into lines as 10,000 ships vanished from the solar system. Behind them, Earth continued its work. More ships, more weapons, more soldiers prepared for war. If the first fleet failed, humanity would send another. And another. Until every alien who had participated in New Eden's destruction was dead. The journey to Zephyros took 6 months through hyperspace. Elena spent the time reviewing their battle plans and thinking about what they would find. The aliens had ruled this region of space for thousands of years. They had destroyed dozens of civilizations, treating intelligent species like animals to be slaughtered. Commander, Lieutenant Morrison called as they approached their destination. Long-range sensors detect the alien fleet. They're exactly where our intelligence predicted. Elena looked at the tactical display. Hundreds of organic-looking alien ships orbited their home worlds. The same design that had attacked New Eden. They looked powerful and frightening, exactly as they had 25 years ago, but they had not improved. They had not learned. They had not adapted. Humans had. Signal the fleet, Elena ordered. All ships to battle stations. Target the alien fleet first, then move to planetary assault. Remember your training. Remember New Eden. Show them what humans do to genocidal monsters. The alien ships detected the human fleet and moved to intercept. Their formation was confident, almost casual. They had done this many times before against primitive species. They expected another easy victory. Elena watched them approach and felt cold satisfaction. These aliens were about to learn that humans were not another primitive species. Humans were something new in the galaxy, something that remembered every wrong and repaid it with interest. Fire, she commanded. 10,000 human warships opened fire simultaneously. The space between the fleets filled with weapons that the aliens had never seen before. Quantum torpedoes that ignored their shields. Bioweapons that turned their own technology against them. Particle beams that cut through their hulls like paper. The alien fleet lasted exactly 17 minutes. Commander, Morrison reported with amazement. Complete destruction of enemy forces. 0 human casualties. Elena nodded and looked at the alien world spinning helplessly below. 12 billion aliens lived on those planets. 12 billion beings who belonged to the species that had murdered New Eden. Begin planetary assault, she ordered. Leave nothing alive. The alien homeworld of Zephyros Prime burned beneath a dark sky. Elena Vasquez walked through the ruins of the planetary capital, her bioweapon scanning for any remaining life signs. Around her, human soldiers systematically destroyed everything the aliens had built over thousands of years. The invasion had lasted only 3 days. The alien defenders fought with desperation, but their weapons were useless against human technology. 25 years of preparation had made humanity's war machine unstoppable. "Commander," called Sergeant Davies, pointing to a massive structure at the city's center. "That building is still intact. Sensors show life signs inside." Elena looked at the pyramidal tower that stretched into the poisoned sky. It was the largest building they had found, covered in alien symbols and decorative carvings, probably their government center or religious temple. "Take a squad and investigate," she ordered. "If you find any aliens alive, bring them to me." Elena continued her inspection of the dead city. The alien architecture was strange but beautiful in its own way. Curved walls and flowing designs that suggested artistic talent. It was almost sad to destroy such creativity. Almost. Then she remembered New Eden. She remembered her daughter Maria's classroom, now a radioactive crater on a dead world. She remembered Dr. Chen's final recording and the casual way the aliens had discussed pest control. Her sadness turned back to anger. "Commander," Davy's voice crackled through her radio. "We found something. You need to see this immediately." Elena entered the alien tower and climbed through corridors filled with strange art and technology. The building seemed part museum, part government office. Her soldiers had secured it floor by floor, finding dozens of aliens hiding in the deepest chambers. She found Davies in a vast room filled with display cases and holographic projectors. The walls were covered with what looked like trophies and records. Elena's blood ran cold as she realized what she was seeing. "It's a museum," Davies explained, "but not the kind you'd expect. Look at this." He activated one of the holographic displays. A 3-dimensional image appeared showing a beautiful blue planet with white clouds and green continents. Peaceful cities dotted the surface and ships moved between orbital stations. This was called Kalos Prime. Davies read from the alien text their computers had translated. Population 4 billion. Eliminated in cycle 2847 for unauthorized expansion. Elena stared at the hologram as it showed the planet's destruction. Alien ships arrived and systematically destroyed every city, every ship, every sign of intelligent life. Just like New Eden, but thousands of years ago. "How many displays are there?" she asked quietly. 47 different worlds, Commander. All destroyed by these aliens. All eliminated for different reasons. Davy's voice was thick with disgust. Unauthorized expansion, resource conflicts, failure to submit to hegemony authority. They've been doing this for millennia. Elena walked from display to display, watching the destruction of civilization after civilization. Each hologram showed a thriving world full of intelligent beings. Each ended with complete annihilation at the hands of the alien hegemony. One display showed a world of creatures that looked like giant butterflies with rainbow wings. They had built crystal cities that sang in harmony with the wind. The aliens destroyed them for aesthetic violations. Another showed aquatic beings who had lived in underwater cities of coral and light. They died for contaminating sacred waters. A third showed humanoid creatures with silver skin who had created art that moved and changed with their emotions. They were eliminated for psychological instability. 47 worlds. Hundreds of billions of innocent beings, all murdered by the species that humanity was now destroying. "Commander," Sergeant Davies called from across the room, "I found live aliens in the back chambers. 3 of them. They appear to be leaders of some kind." Elena followed him to a secured area where 3 tall gray aliens cowered behind an energy barrier. They were the first living members of the species she had seen since arriving at Zephyros. They looked exactly like the beings in Dr. Chen's recordings, but now they shook with fear instead of radiating confidence. One of the aliens spoke in their clicking musical language. Elena's translation device converted the words into English. "Please," the alien said. "We surrender. We offer complete submission to your authority. Take our resources, our technology, our worlds. Only spare our lives." Elena looked at the creature with cold eyes. "Did you spare the lives on New Eden?" "That was different," another alien replied quickly. Your species was primitive, expanding without permission. We maintained galactic order through necessary culling. Culling? Elena's voice was deadly quiet. You call the murder of 7 million humans culling? It was standard protocol, the third alien explained. Unauthorized species must be controlled before they become threats. We have maintained peace for 10,000 cycles this way. Elena gestured toward the museum displays. And all of these worlds? Were they threats too? They violated hegemony law. They expanded without permission, developed forbidden technologies, or refused to acknowledge our authority. Order must be maintained. Elena understood now. These aliens had appointed themselves rulers of this region of space. Any species that grew too advanced or too numerous was eliminated. They had been genocide-based tyrants for thousands of years. How many species have you destroyed? She asked. The exact number is not important, the first alien replied. Perhaps 100 civilizations. All were eliminated according to proper protocols. 100 civilizations? Elena felt sick. These creatures had wiped out 100 intelligent species and felt it was justified. They had treated genocide as the administrative function. Commander, Lieutenant Morrison's voice came through her radio. We finished scanning their databases. The intelligence is staggering. Elena left the aliens under guard and moved to the communication center her soldiers had established. Morrison showed her the translated files they had recovered from the alien computer systems. They called themselves the Zephyrian Hegemony, Morrison explained. They've ruled this region for 12,000 years. Every few centuries they conduct what they call stability sweeps to eliminate species that might challenge their authority. The files contained detailed records of each extinction, species names, population counts, methods of elimination, and justifications for the murders. The aliens had documented their genocides with careful precision. New Eden wasn't even significant to them, Morrison continued. It was just another minor elimination. They have dozens of fleets conducting similar operations throughout the galaxy. Elena felt rage building in her chest. Maria's death hadn't even been important to these monsters. Her beautiful daughter had died as part of routine pest control. What about their current operations? She asked. 3 more fleets are active right now, Morrison replied grimly. They're attacking 2 different worlds and nearby systems. Alien species we've never heard of. Elena made a decision that would define humanity's future role in the galaxy. Signal the reserve fleets. I want every human ship in space moving to intercept those operations. No alien dies while we can prevent it. Commander, Morrison looked confused. Our mission was to eliminate the hegemony, not protect other species. Our mission is justice, Elena replied. Justice for every species these monsters have murdered. Justice for every world they've destroyed. Justice for the crime of genocide itself. She returned to the alien prisoners and looked at them with cold determination. You asked for mercy. Did you show mercy to the children on New Eden? Did you spare the families on Callus Prime? Did you feel regret for any of the 100 civilizations you destroyed? We followed protocol, the first alien insisted. We maintained order. Chaos would result if inferior species were allowed to expand freely. Then let me explain human protocol, Elena said. We remember our dead. We remember our enemies, and we never forgive genocide. She turned to Sergeant Davies. Execute them. Commander, one of the aliens called desperately. There are billions of our people on the other worlds, civilians who never participated in the eliminations. Surely you will show them mercy. Helena paused at the door and looked back at the creatures who had murdered her daughter. Did you show mercy to the civilian populations you eliminated? Did you spare the children and families on New Eden? That was different. No, Helena interrupted. It was exactly the same. You eliminated entire species for the crime of existing without your permission. Now humanity eliminates your species for the crime of genocide. The difference is that we are honest about what we're doing. She left the chamber and returned to her ship. From orbit, she watched human forces finish their work on Zephyros Prime. Every alien city was destroyed. Every military installation was eliminated. Every member of the species was hunted down and killed. It took 6 months to completely sterilize all 15 worlds in the Zephyros system. 12 billion aliens died, paying for the murders they had committed over thousands of years. When it was finished, Elena stood on the bridge of the Retribution and looked at the dead system. 15 lifeless worlds orbited their star, monuments to the price of genocide. Commander, Morrison reported, our reserve fleets have intercepted the other hegemony operations. 2 alien species have been saved from elimination. They're asking to speak with humanity. Elena nodded. Tell them humanity Admiral Elena Vasquez stood in the memorial garden on New Eden, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of gold and purple. The planet lived again. Green grass grew where radioactive ash had once covered the ground. Clear streams flowed where poison had stained the earth. Children played in parks built where cities had burned, but the memorial remained. 7 million names carved in quantum crystal, each one glowing softly in the fading light. Maria Vasquez was there along with Dr. Sarah Chen and all the others who had died when the galaxy learned what humans were capable of. 5 years had passed since the last Zephyrian died. 5 years since humanity completed the most thorough genocide in galactic history. Not a single member of the species survived. Not one ship, not one outpost, not one individual hiding in the far corners of space. Admiral, called Commander Torres as he approached through the garden paths, the delegation from the Callous Republic has arrived. They're requesting an immediate audience. Elena nodded and took one last look at her daughter's name glowing in the crystal. Maria would have been 35 now, probably with children of her own. Those grandchildren would never exist because aliens had decided humans were pests to be eliminated. Tell them I'll meet with them in 1 hour, Elena replied, and remind them of protocol. No weapons, no recording devices, and no demands. Only requests. Elena walked through the restored city of New Eden toward the government complex that had been rebuilt on the exact site where Dr. Chen had made her final recording. The original design had been preserved, but now it included defensive systems that could destroy a planet if necessary. The Callous delegation waited in the conference room. They were tall, graceful beings with silver skin and large, expressive eyes. Their species had been one of the 47 that the Zephyrians had murdered thousands of years ago. Now they existed only because their descendants had survived on remote colony worlds. Admiral Vasquez, their leader, spoke through a translation device. I am Ambassador Kells of the Callous Republic. We come to thank humanity for avenging our ancestors and to discuss our future relationship. Elena sat across from the aliens and studied their faces. These beings had suffered genocide just like humanity. They understood loss and pain and the need for justice. What do you want from us? Helena asked directly. Protection, Ambassador Kells replied honestly. The galaxy is full of species like the Zephyrians, powerful predators who view weaker civilizations as resources to be consumed. We have heard that humanity protects those who cannot protect themselves. Elena considered the request. In the 5 years since destroying the hegemony, humanity had intervened in 12 other conflicts. Pirates attacking peaceful traders, slavers raiding primitive worlds, military states attempting to conquer their neighbors. Each time, human ships had arrived and ended the violence quickly and permanently. Protection comes with obligations, Elena warned. We don't protect species so they can become parasites. We expect our allies to contribute to galactic security. We understand, Ambassador Kells said. Our shipyards are already producing vessels to human specifications. Our scientists are sharing their research freely. We want to be partners, not dependents, Elena approved. This was the kind of relationship humanity was building across the galaxy. Mutual cooperation between species that shared common values. The alternative was the Zephyrian model of domination and genocide. Very well, Elena agreed. The Callous Republic is under human protection. Attack them, and you attack us. Ambassador Kells looked relieved. Thank you, Admiral. The galaxy is safer with humanity watching over it. After the delegation left, Elena reviewed the reports that had accumulated on her desk. Intelligence briefings from across known space, all painting the same picture. Humanity's reputation had spread to every civilized world. Some species admired humans for ending the Zephyrian threat. Others feared what humanity might do to them. All of them understood that the galaxy had changed forever. Admiral, Lieutenant Park called from the communication center. We're receiving a priority message from the Arcturus system. The Vegan Commonwealth is reporting an invasion. Elena moved to the tactical center and reviewed the incoming data. The Vegan Commonwealth was one of humanity's newer allies, a peaceful federation of plant-based sentients. They were being attacked by something called the Dominion of Scales, a military empire that demanded tribute from weaker species. How many ships does the Dominion have? Elena asked. Approximately 2,000 vessels, Park replied, all heavily armed. They've already conquered 3 Vegan worlds and are demanding complete surrender. Elena studied the tactical display. 2,000 ships was a significant force, much larger than the pirates and slavers humanity usually dealt with. This would be a real military engagement. Signal the Third Fleet, she ordered. Full deployment to Arcturus. Rules of engagement are clear. Complete destruction of all Dominion forces. Admiral, Park looked concerned. The Dominion hasn't actually committed genocide. They're conquerors, not exterminators. Do we really want to destroy their entire civilization? Elena turned to face her young officer. Park was brilliant, but she had not lived through New Eden. She had not watched her people die while aliens laughed about pest control. Lieutenant, what do you think happens to conquered species under Dominion rule? They become subject peoples. Slaves, essentially. And if they resist? Park thought for a moment. Mass executions. Probably elimination of rebel populations. Which is genocide, Elena concluded. The Dominion may not call it that, but the result is the same. Intelligent species dying because they refuse to submit to alien rule. Elena activated the fleet communication system and spoke to her ship. Commanders, the Vegan Commonwealth is under attack by the Dominion of Scales. This is not a negotiation or a police action. This is war against a species that practices slavery and mass murder. You know what to do. The Third Fleet jumped to hyperspace within hours. Elena remained on New Eden to coordinate overall strategy, but she followed every battle through real-time communication links. The war lasted 6 weeks. The Dominion fought harder than the Zephyrians had, but the result was never in doubt. Human technology was 50 years ahead of anything else in the galaxy. Human tactics were developed specifically for overwhelming superior numbers. Human soldiers fought with the knowledge that they were protecting innocent people from predators. The Dominion capital world fell on a Tuesday morning. Elena watched the live feed as human marines stormed the Imperial Palace and dragged the Dominion leaders into custody. "What are your orders regarding prisoners?" asked Admiral Chen, commander of the Third Fleet. Elena thought of New Eden burning. She thought of the Kalos ancestors murdered for the crime of building beautiful cities. She thought of 100 civilizations destroyed by aliens who appointed themselves galactic rulers. "No prisoners," she replied. "Complete elimination of all Dominion forces. Every ship, every soldier, every leader who participated in their conquests." Admiral Chen said carefully, "That's approximately 40 million individuals." "The Dominion has ruled over 200 worlds for 3,000 years, Elena replied. "How many beings do you think they've killed to maintain that rule? How many civilizations did they destroy or enslave?" Admiral Chen checked the historical files. His voice was grim when he responded. "Estimated casualties from Dominion expansion, 2 billion sentients, 37 extinct species. Then 40 million is a bargain," Elena said coldly. "Execute them all." The galaxy watched in stunned silence as humanity eliminated another aggressive species. The Dominion had seemed invincible, ruling hundreds of worlds with overwhelming military force. Humans destroyed them in 6 weeks. Other military empires began reassessing their expansion plans. Species that had been building conquest fleets suddenly decided to focus on internal development instead. The galactic arms trade collapsed as no one wanted to appear threatening to humanity. "Admiral," Commander Torres reported 6 months later, "intelligence indicates a significant shift in galactic politics. Aggressive species are either changing their behavior or requesting human alliance. The age of conquest appears to be ending." Elena reviewed the reports with satisfaction. Piracy was down 80%. Military conflicts between species had virtually stopped. Trade routes that had been dangerous for centuries were now safe. "What about exploration?" she asked. "Are species still expanding into new systems?" "Actually, exploration has increased dramatically," Torres replied. "Without the threat of military conquest, peaceful species are colonizing new worlds at record rates. The galaxy is experiencing unprecedented growth." Elena smiled for the first time in months. This was what Maria would have wanted. A galaxy where children could grow up without fear of genocide or slavery. A universe where intelligence was celebrated rather than seen as a threat to be eliminated. She returned to the memorial garden and found a group of children playing among the crystal monuments. They were human, Kalos, Vegan, and a dozen other species, all laughing together in the warm afternoon sun. One of the human children, a girl about 8 years old, approached Elena shyly. "Are you Admiral Vasquez?" "I am," Elena replied, kneeling to the child's level. "What's your name?"